हरे कृष्ण। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्-भागवतम की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। श्रीमद्-भागवतम इन स्टोरी फॉर्म, चैप्टर 110, अध्याय 110। Satrājit murdered and the jewel returned. The killing of Satrājit and Satadhanva. The killing of Satrājit and Satadhanva. Canto 10. After Akrura had visited Hastinapura, the Pandavas were taken to a house made of silk, which then burnt down. Everyone thought that the Pandavas and their mother Kunti had perished. When Krishna and Balrama received the news, they immediately departed for Hastinapura to fulfill their family obligations. Although they very well knew that the Pandavas were unharmed, Krishna and Balrama visited Bhishma, Kripa, Vidura, Gandhari, and Drona. While showing sorrow equal that of the residents of Hastinapura, Krishna and Balrama cried out, "How painful is this is!" They also met those who were not at all bereaved because of being involved in the assassination attempt. Taking advantage of the situation that Krishna and Balrama were away from Dwarka, Akrura and Kritavarma went to Satadhanva and said, "Why not go and take the Shamantaka jewel? Satrājit had promised his beautiful daughter to you, but then gave her to Krishna. For this reason, why should not Satrājit follow his brother's path?" In this way, a conspiracy was hatched. Both Akrura and Kritavarma were exalted devotees. So why did they join in such a plot? Srila Jiva Goswami says that Akrura was a victim of the great anger that was directed against him due to taking Krishna away from Vrindavana. Kritavarma had associated with Kangsha because both were members of the Bhoj dynasty, and that undesirable association was now taking effect. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti says that Akrura and Kritavarma were against Satrājit because he had spread false rumors about Krishna. Coming under the influence of such advice, Satadhanva one night entered Satrājit's home and mercilessly killed him in his sleep. He then took the Samantaka jewel and left while the palace women, headed by Satyabhama, screamed and cried hysterically. Satyabhama put her father's corpse in a large vat of oil to preserve it and then went to Hastinapura to see her husband. When Satyabhama sorrowfully informed Krishna of her father's murder, he and Balrama exclaimed, "Oh, this is a great tragedy." Although they already knew about what had happened, they imitated the ways of human society by lamenting, their eyes filled with tears. Krishna, Balarama, and Satyabhama returned to Dwarka. Lord Krishna's first concern was to kill Satadhanva and retrieve the Shamantaka jewel. And when he learned of this, Satadhanva became very fearful. To try and save himself, he went to Kritavarma and begged for help. Kritavarma replied, "I dare not offend the Supreme Lords Krishna and Balarama. Indeed, how can one who travels them expect any good fortune? Look what happened to Kangsha and Jarasandha." Satadhanva next approached Akrura and begged him for help, but Akrura replied, "Who would oppose the two personalities of Godhead, knowing of their prowess?" As a child of 7, Krishna uprooted an entire mountain and held it aloft as easily as a boy picks up a mushroom. Satadhanva then placed the Shamantaka jewel in the care of Akrura and fled on a horse that could run up to 700 kilometers at a stretch. Krishna mounted his chariot along with Balarama and pursued his father-in-law's murder. At the outskirts of Mithila, Satadhanva's horse collapsed, and so he continued fleeing on foot. To be fair, Krishna and Balarama also got down from their chariot. Then, as he ran, Krishna cut off Satadhanva's head with his chakra. Krishna searched Satadhanva's body looking for the jewel, and when he failed to find it, he said, "We have killed Satadhanva uselessly, for the Samantaka jewel is not here." Balrama said, "Satadhanva must have given the jewel to someone to keep. Return to Dwarka and find out who that is. I wish to stay here and visit King Janaka, for he is my very good friend." Upon seeing Balarama approach, the king of Mithila immediately got up from his seat to greet him. Lord Balarama remained at Mithila for several years as the honored guest of his affectionate devotee Janaka Maharaja, and it was at this time that Duryodhana learned the art of fighting with a club from him. When Krishna returned to Dwarka, he informed Satyabhama of Satadhanva's demise and his failure to find the Shyamantaka jewel. Together, they performed the funeral ceremonies for Satrājit. When Akrura and Kritavarma heard that Satadhanva had been killed, they fled Dwarka in fear and took up residence elsewhere. Akrura went to Kashi to be with his maternal grandfather, and by worshipping the Shyamantaka jewel, he became quite a celebrity. In Akrura's absence, some ill omens were seen in Dwarka, and the people began to suffer from natural disturbances as well as from mental distress. Some of the citizens felt threatened due to Akrura's absence and even imagined that Krishna had sent him into exile, considering him a rival. The feeling that Akrura's absence caused inauspiciousness was basically a superstition. After all, Krishna was present in Dwarka. Some of the elder Yadus then said, "Previously, when there was a drought in Kasi, on the advice of an astrologer, the king gave his daughter Gandhini to Swafalka, who was Gandhini Putra Akrur. We have read some days ago. Gandhini to Swafalka, who was at that time residing there as his guest. Soon thereafter, it began to rain because of Swafalka's mystic power. Wherever his equally powerful son Akrura stays, Indra provides sufficient rain. Indeed, that place will also be free of miseries and untimely death." Upon hearing this, Krishna had Akrura summoned from Kashi. Although he very well knew that his absence and that of the Shamantaka jewel was not the factual cause of the bad omens and disturbances. Upon his arrival, Krishna greeted Akrura very warmly and then said, "I am sure that Satadhanna left the Shamantaka jewel in your care and that it is still with you. Indeed, I knew this all along, because Satrājit had no sons. His daughter's sons should receive his inheritance." Here Krishna indicated that Satyabhama was pregnant and that her son would be the rightful heir to the jewel and would indeed take it by force if it were not given to him voluntarily. Lord Krishna continued, "Nevertheless, I want the jewel to remain with you, for no ordinary man can keep it, but you must show it just once, because my brother and other relatives doubt my word that you actually have it. It is quite obvious that the Shamantaka jewel is in your possession, for you are performing sacrifices on altars made of pure gold. Feeling somewhat ashamed after hearing these words and understanding that nothing can be concealed from the Lord, Akrura took the jewel from where he had concealed it in his clothing and gave it to Krishna. After Krishna showed the jewel to his relatives, thus dispelling the false accusations against him, he gave it back to Akrura. Hare Krishna.